Hello, and welcome to Easy Does It. I hate baseball, man. I really hate baseball. It is the worst sport in the history of all sports. It's awful. It's the worst. Anyone who tells you they like baseball is lying to you. I'm never going to watch another baseball game for the rest of my life until tomorrow when the Cubs play the Phillies because we got to get some wins. Yeah, no, I'm just like right now, like I'm very angry with the Chicago Cubs of 2023. And I'm not pointing fingers angry. Like a lot of people like to say, "Oh, the Cubs suck. It's David Ross's fault." Right? Why if you're going to point fingers, blame the manager, right? Blame the manager, blame the coach. Look, in the case of Matt Nagy, where it's all about like coming up with schemes and you have a week to prepare for a certain team and you come out and you make ridiculous decisions and trick plays, whatever. It's like that's something I understand. But baseball is just so chaotic, right? Like you can't really all the time control where you hit the ball. You hit a lot of you hit it super hard. Oftentimes it just goes right at a guy. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like I'm not going to sit here and blame David Ross, right? I'm not going to sit here and be mad at David Ross for the Cubs being or kind of underachieving. I know really like I'm not going to get mad at Cubs pitcher Mark Leiter yesterday for coming in and giving up some runs because it felt like he hadn't given up runs in many of his relief appearances this season. Light show's been amazing. Keegan Thompson, he's struggled recently, another reliever. But again, like it's expected. Relievers are expected to, have their shitty outings every now and then. It's just right now I'm mad at the Cubs because it feels like they've just run into the worst luck imaginable. So I can't be like I'm mad because I can't really be mad at anyone because it's not like anyone's playing horrendously badly. I don't know. Let's see. I have some comments already. That's cool. What up, Anthony? Welcome to the show, man. Don't worry. I'll talk some football soon. But I just got to rant about my Cubbies because I mean, you know how heated I get about these boys. But really, it's like as I was saying, there's not the way I sum up the Chicago Cubs this year is this: out of all the teams in the history of Major League Baseball, the Chicago Cubs of 2023 are definitely one of them. That's it. They're just some random ass team. They're not particularly good. They're not particularly bad, but man, they've been playing badly lately. And by that, I mean they've just been running into shitty luck. And yeah, look, there's been some I'm not going to say David Ross has been perfect. There's been some decisions he's made that I definitely find questionable. You know, for example, like some of the lineup cards have been a little bit weird. Some of the matchup decisions he's going with are a little weird, but I can't really blame him when you don't have that bona fide lockdown bullpen guy. You got a lot of setup guys, but you don't have that closer. You don't have that guy who could come in and just like throw 100 and be like, here, hit this mother. So yeah, I guess point I'm making is really the reason why I'm so frustrated with the Cubs is partially because there's really no one to get mad at. It's just been shitty baseball luck. And that's unfortunate. I guess what I'm really most mad at right now is the Cubs fans on social media, including myself. I'm not going to absolve myself of the guilt a little bit. I'm a fan too. I'm an idiot. I'm a fanatic. Fan is fanatic. Fanatic is overzealous. And zealousy is not great. It's, when your passion strongly outweighs your logic. But I like there's this something that Cubs fans have been regurgitating is either, oh, you know what, don't complain, just enjoy the ride. Like just don't complain. Your team sucks. Like back in my day, we didn't complain about the Cubs. We just accepted the fact that we were perennial losers. Like, no, if your team sucks, complain about your team. Totally, totally fair. And, we can't say it's only April anymore because it's May at this point. It's May. Surprise. Also, the other thing that they're saying is, well, we weren't expected to be good anyway, so you gotta calm down a bit. Dude, I don't care what the expectations are. Whenever your team is playing badly and you are a fan of that team, you are allowed to be upset. This is me, a professional fan, telling you this. When your team is underperforming on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, you're allowed to get mad at that. Like there's no other way around it. Like, yeah, I could go into a season and be like, yeah, my team's going to be 81-81. We're going to be about a 500 team. But like, if they're losing easy games or, they're blowing 5-run leads to the Astros, of course I'm going to be pissed. Let's see what Anthony says here. You know that I have to like and respect you for me to listen to anything pertaining to the Cubs. Yeah, Anthony, I appreciate that. I really do. But by the way, the Sox are not doing much better than the Cubs are right now. So just throwing that out there. But no, look, I mean, I'm a Cubs fan who respects the Sox. I don't respect really their organization. Frank, don't worry, man. I'm gonna get to the good stuff that you like so much. But let me be angry for a minute. Let me be angry at how unfortunate things have been. Well, it looks like the Cubs are probably gonna be trading a bunch of people at the deadline again, which is great. But 3-game series with the Phillies coming up. Of course, I'm gonna watch it because I'm a sucker for baseball. But just definitely a very annoying thing. And don't worry, Frank. Yeah, I'll get to the Blackhawks. All right. And I'll definitely bring on our recurring guest star to talk about the Blackhawks when the time comes. But yeah, look, after the game yesterday, after the Cubs, yes, Anthony, I'll get to the Bears. Don't worry, I'll get to the Bears. But no, after whatever happened yesterday between the Astros and Cubs had a 6-1 lead, and it was like the opposite of the 2016 World Series because instead of holding on to the 6-1 lead, the Cubs just totally crapped all over themselves, gave up 6 runs in the final 2 innings to lose on a walk-off 2-run single by Alex Bregman. Of course, that's made. I said yesterday, this off day is going to feel like a bye week, and this off day has absolutely felt like a bye week. I've been ready to see this team get back on the field because I still think they're a little better than they've been. But, it just pissed me off a lot to lose like that. And, as it should. I'm not going to apologize for being angry about my team sucking, even if the expectations weren't particularly high. For what it's worth, Christopher Morel has come up and he's been absolutely raking, killing the baseball. And a lot of people are, talking about, oh, but he strikes out too much, but he doesn't hit the ball enough. He strikes out. He's always striking. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if he's striking out as much as he is if he's slugging in Bonds territory. All right. His OPS is currently, and OPS is like how we judge baseball players. If it's in the 900 range, it's amazing. Like it's elite. His OPS right now is in the 1.205 something range. Like he's insane. And yeah, I know strikeouts aren't awesome, but an out's an out. I'm sorry, an out is an out. And he's been just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. Very fun to watch. I'm tuning in for Morel at this point. At this point, I want to see this young kid play. He's so much fun to watch. He's really good for the game. And I mean, his defense needs work. Yeah, I'll give you that. But man, he hits absolute nukes. And it's just been fun to see. Also, I picked him up on my fantasy team, and he's been very much helping my team through a bit of a rough patch. My fantasy baseball team is we're going on 4-3. Hopefully we can nail down this win this week. Yeah, and thanks a large part to Morel. I got to give him credit where it's due. Because again, the Cubs are not playing they're not horrendously bad. They have some really good players, and they're not doing a horrible job. They're a constipated team. That's what they are. They are constipated, like very close to getting it all out and, just having an explosion, but they just can't get it done. Anyway, with that, I'm going to welcome my guest star, Noah Gross. I hope you're still paying attention. I know I was going on for a while, but this guy is, played a lot of high school football, both sides of the ball, really talented player, just kind of undersized for anything higher. Although he is also just a great football mind. Coached high school for a while, and he's going to be getting back into coaching very soon. I don't really know how. I'm very bad at introductions, but yeah. What's up, Noah? How's it going, man?
How you doing, bud? You are as good as introductions as the Cubs are at baseball right now.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, it is what it is. Right. Like, you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, but it's also like getting there, right? Like
right, exactly. You just gotta get
like just so close, but not quite where I need to be.
Right.
But Yeah, look, I talked about baseball for a while because you know me, I'm much more passionate about my baseball teams than I am about my basketball teams. I'm very excited about this slate of conference finals because we were talking off air about, I'm not going to be upset no matter who wins. I know a lot of Bulls fans really don't like LeBron, but like I have no problem with LeBron. I don't take anything personally in basketball.
Wait, what is Bulls fans' beef? Is it that they're mad he didn't choose Chicago over Miami? Is it that he kept Derrick Rose out of the finals?
No. The beef is that he's really good at basketball and he always beats us.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean,
I didn't know.
I figured
back going, was Chicago on his list when he was making like the decision?
Oh no, Chicago was very high on his list.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like the speculation was he might actually go to Chicago. And if you remember, because Dwayne Wade was also at the end of his deal,
and from Chicago,
Dwayne Wade almost went to Chicago to be with his family.
Right.
And then LeBron almost followed. So we almost had a team of Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade. You would have seen more Bulls hats than Yankees hats. I'm just throwing that out there.
That would have been an interesting time in all of our lives.
Oh yeah, would have been really cool. Would have been really cool. Look, again, I'm not as hung up on when you like two teams, you're not as hung up on either of them. But
right.
But like I don't know, I like I said, it is. Look, if the Lakers win the championship, I live in Los Angeles, so I'm going to be partying. I'm just going to get to run around in the streets doing whatever I want. So that's always a good thing.
So many tacos, so many street
hot
dogs.
Oh my god, those! I'm gonna have so many bacon wrapped hot dogs.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Noah's a bacon wrapped hot dog fiend.
I am, and you're a Lakers fan, obviously. Love my Lakers.
Oh yeah, Noah's from LA, so that's why he's a Lakers fan.
Right. Not like how no. Like, don't anyone get it twisted. Like, I was around for like Chris Mim and Smush Parker. Like, trust me, I have been around through thick and thin.
Sure, it's been mostly thick. Let's be real.
It's been mostly thick. No,
hasn't been a lot of thin. Hasn't been a lot of
majority.
I'm mad because he has great offensive skill, but that is only because he never plays defense. Needs to get everyone else to do the hard work while he gets the glory. That's a little truer now than it was in the past. And I think
I'm pretty sure he's made multiple All NBA defensive teams. I could be wrong on that.
No, he was great defensively back in his
right. You are correct. You're correct, Frank. At 39, he is not picking up the other team's best offensive player. That's correct. That's a fair criticism, I suppose. But going back, a comment I wanted to make on the Cubs. I wanted to from the little I know about the Cubs. The majority of my knowledge comes from like getting Cubs players in 2K, or not in 2K, in the show rather. And it's interesting to see how like that transfers over into reality. So like I love Nico Horner because he's my go-to like cheap middle infielder in the show.
Yep, he's on the IL.
Oh, great. And then I know there's a couple of pitchers left for them, but it's interesting because you're like, I'm mad about the fact I don't really have anyone to be mad at. And like that's an understandable feeling because generally speaking, my fandom for like Lakers, Eagles, LA Kings, and then really just outside of Mets have generally been good. But like I remember my whole life being a Mets fan being like more or less, we're not good.
Yeah.
No, what do you want from me? You know what I mean?
There's not much more you could say. It's hard to find a scapegoat. A lot of the time, especially in baseball. Because it's just such a chaotic sport. In really anything can happen.
Baseball comes down. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. There is more luck involved in the success in baseball than in the other sports, I would argue. That's true. Yeah, sometimes you just like a guy swings and gets a little BS bloop single into right, and you guys second and third, and you give up 2 runs, and it's the only hit you give up after a walk and a hit back. Like, yeah, sometimes it happens, and I feel like that happens way more versus other sports.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. Like. You could hit the ball super hard at the shortstop 15 times in a row. And, that like those are good swings, but then, you might not get a hit until a pop fly that is just perfectly placed.
Right. Again, going back to the show, how many perfect friggin' lineouts do you have? And you're just like,
right. And I just want to say in the comments here, we got Frank going off on LeBron. I just want to be clear here. Noah Gross, Noah Gross likes LeBron, but he's not a Lakers fan because of LeBron. No, it's just like a latent function of his fandom.
Growing up in LA, I was very lucky. My dad would take us to games growing up. So like all of my memories as kids go. So like my like everyone has their memory that kind of turned them on to consciousness. My memory of getting turned on to consciousness was the Robert Horry 3 in against the Kings. That's my like first memory. And my looking over at my dad and him like losing his mind. Like that was my like memory. I remember I went to the game in the finals when they blew out the Celtics and Perkins hurt his knee. Like I remember that, you know what I mean?
Like,
so
that's
like,
how for me, my first memory that entered me in the stream of consciousness was like sneezing. I remember sneezing at
it must have been a really strong sneeze to like.
I sneezed 3 times. It was a achoo, achoo, achoo. I'm awake. Like, and that's my earliest memory.
I wonder if you sneezed.
No one said bless you, by the way.
Offline, like the other way around. I wonder if you sneeze 3 times in a row again, if you turn offline, like it's the other way around now.
That's something I should try, right?
Or don't. I mean, it's a big risk.
Don't do that, right? Man, I go into full NPC mode. That'd be great. I love the Lakers and now root against them because LeBron. I have players that I hate in every sports. Football is just the Packers. Well, I agree with that last one. Football, it is just the Packers. Definitely not a big, we're not big Packers guys on this show.
No, none of us are.
It's a definitely big understatement. But yeah, so you were saying, and I don't agree with this. You're saying that the Lakers aren't a championship team.
I don't think.
Can you elaborate on that?
I'm sorry, they're not a championship roster. I just saw a statistic. They have had 19 different starters. It's one of the most in the NBA. They've had the most amount of different starting lineups since in the last 20 games leading into the playoffs. They only have 4 of their 15 guys that started the season on the roster now. Like, yes, the playoffs are about who gets hot and who's playing well, and I'm not denying that. We've seen teams like the Lakers championship a couple years ago, the Heat now. You get hot and make a run, and I'm not denying that. But this is their ceiling, I think. So, and the way I put it, the way we talked about earlier, is talk about LeBron and AD and then everyone else. And I feel like the other 3 teams left in the playoffs, if their star has a bad night, the rest of their roster can kind of make up for it. And whether that's Boston, whether that's Denver, or whether that's Miami, you have guys that can go off for 20, 25, 30 a night. Whereas I just don't trust the Lakers guys to do that. No, if LeBron, if LeBron or AD,
Hachimura's having a great night tonight.
No, Rui's having a great night. But so just as an overall arch, if Bron or AD has a bad night, like AD is not having a great night tonight, generally speaking, looking at other teams, I would trust, say, a Michael Porter in Denver or a Tyler Hero in Miami to have a good night. Then I would trust a D'Lo or an Austin Reeves or a Rue who's even having a great night tonight. You know what I mean? Proving me wrong. But that's why to say to LeBron and AD, you can't have a bad night on any given night. It's just going to be rough.
I don't know, man. See, I think, first of all, and yeah, like AD's off tonight, but y'all are still up.
Right, still up 5, you know what I mean? And
I still think AD's the best player in the NBA when he's healthy. I honestly, I don't think anyone's better.
When he is healthy, fully engaged, and playing at his absolute max ceiling, there is an argument for him being the best in the NBA. Still hard for me to put him over Joker and Giannis. Embiid, I think Embiid is one of the most probably the most unworthy MVP since Steve Nash. I'll make a little bold statement there.
He might be the worst. The least worthy MVP of all time.
I know it's really
just because he's able to and we were talking about this. I can't remember if it was on the air or off the air, but we were talking about how Joel Embiid is basically Kirk Cousins. He's I
like that. Yeah,
I remember that. In the regular season, he could go off. He could really go off, especially against bad opponents. He always kicks the Bulls' ass. They don't really have that big body who could keep up with him. But in the playoffs, he completely shrinks.
Once you start bullying him, he doesn't like to get physical. Yeah, I remember hearing a thing, because if you watch him a lot, he'll go up for a rebound or a layup, and he just hits the ground. And I think it might have been Van Gundy saying, "Oh, it's a thing he does intentionally. He's been taught to hit the ground." And I'm like, I don't love my center being taught to hit the ground. Maybe this is old school of me, but you got to stay on your feet as my center. You got to be in the paint, willing to bang bodies. Even in today's NBA, it's all about, Chet Holmgren and the stretch 5 and all that. I'm not denying that, but at a certain point, you got to bang a body in the paint.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of the fear about Chet Holmgren, by the way. I still like Chet, by the way.
Who, by the way, got hurt in his first year with a lower body injury.
Yep. To be fair, I mean, like he looks that's a thin man right there. Like that is a thin.
And
man.
I clearly have never been a thin man in my entire life, but that man is like
no, that man is like like you could probably eat Chet Holmgren. I could probably eat Chet Holmgren, like just straight up. But yeah, that's why I'm like for the Grizzlies, I'm pretty excited about Kenny Lofton Jr. because he's he's kind of he is physically the opposite of Chet Holmgren.
He's a throwback. Like he's like Charles Barkley looking, honestly. Like he's just round mound. Like I don't know what his listed height is. I'm guessing it's about 3 inches shorter than what is actually listed.
Yeah, maybe. He looks short, but he plays big.
Right. No, he plays big. He plays big. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Honestly, like he's been getting comps to Zach Randolph, and like I'm cool with that. If he wants to be Zach Randolph,
I like that comp actually. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'll
to me, he was a little bit more like Glenn Davis because he's gonna hit you a bit more like from the mid range. You know what I mean?
Right. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see how he develops.
He was like all like first team G League or did he like win like G League MVP something like that?
Might have been like G League Rookie of the Year or something.
I think something. Yeah, something like that.
He was really. No, he's kind of kind of a unique specimen.
I like that. He played at Tennessee, right?
And they played at
no
Louisiana Tech, maybe.
La Tech. You're right.
La Tech. Right. But yeah, honestly, like my hot take of the day is if I'm going to be in the NBA playoffs, like give me a Pau Gasol over like an Embiid.
You look back on some of these guys and you go like, imagine if they played 10 years later, and like not to make it like Lakers specific. But imagine like Pau Gasol, or like I was talking to a buddy about this the other day. Imagine like Lamar Odom in today's NBA. That 6'10" point forward, like guard multiple positions. Like just thinking where the league has gone, and it's not. A lot of people will say, "Oh, it's just because of Steph," because Steph brought in 3-point. A lot of it's Steph. I'm not denying that, but it's the evolution of the bigs who, as a result of the game being geared more towards 3-pointers. Bigs are now stepping out. And I think there was a bit of a time period where we had a gap between bigs who just wanted to shoot. They just wanted to be shooters. They didn't really want to be bigs. I think Karl Anthony Towns is a really good example where any Cat fan, any Wolves fan is going, get in the friggin' paint. But I think we're now sort of seeing that shift back towards that like guy who can kind of do a little bit of everything. And if you can have a guy who can bang in the paint and shoot 35% from 3 or shoot 40% from 3 but can't bang in the paint, we're seeing the shift back towards the former, I think.
I think so too. And I think, what people are realizing is like when it comes to these playoffs, like something that every great playoff team has in common is that they have a big who don't take nobody's shit.
Right, which is why the Lakers are having some problems because I was talking to a friend about it and talking about, they played Denver a couple years ago. First of all, a couple years ago, it's a whole new team now. But the Lakers don't have this year a JaVale McGee or a Dwight Howard to, if nothing else, just get in the way of Jokic, just to be a body in the paint. Really, the only guy that would have to do that is Bamba, who is also real thin and is also hurt right now. So like they don't really have that. I understand why they've gone AD at the 5 and LeBron at the 4, but I always said that their ceiling was going to be a little bit lower because look, AD just isn't a natural 5, and they played that. And as we've seen, he tends to play better at the 4.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the problem is because he doesn't quite match up with Jokic the way you'd want him to, but also like really you kind of want like if you have someone bigger than AD to match up with Jokic, then the Lakers might be more in business. I could get on board with that. That makes some sense. But yeah, I still think y'all are going to win this series because in some ways it's just a matter of the franchises. Like it's the Lakers against the Nuggets. It's just like at a certain point.
Has there ever been a number 1 seed more disrespected than Denver? I can't remember the last time we just assumed a number 1 team in every series of theirs. Even in their opening round series, it was like, they could cause problems. No, they weren't. They were never causing them any problems. Like, I think this is the year they get over.
The Bulls were a number 1 seed that got disrespect back in the day, and it made sense because like we ended up losing.
No, I get it. I think Denver, all of the things that have tripped them up before, and there's really nothing left now. Yeah, like Frank said, like Jokic is going off when like everyone's acting like Rui can guard him. Rui can't guard him. And again, it comes down to like the rest of the roster. We were texting, you can confirm this. I said it was Nuggets in 5. I thought the Lakers would take a game at some point in the middle of the series. I just think Denver's roster is is just too talented for the Lakers to consistently beat four times.
That's fair.
Game, definitely 2, maybe even 3 if they're not winning 4 though.
I could see the Nuggets. I could see the Nuggets winning it too, but I still think the Lakers will, just because again, like I'm looking at star power. I'm looking at the top, and I mean, just the combo of LeBron and AD is really, really freaking good. Like,
right.
When you have the best player, arguably the best player in the world on your team, and it isn't LeBron James, but you still have LeBron James on your team.
Right.
I still think that ultimately will.
And it's almost a question of like,
let's not pretend LeBron hasn't been playing great, because he has been.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's how you define great, I guess. And I'm thinking like, how many vintage LeBron games does he have in him, and how many do they need? It's one thing to have like 22, 8 and 6. It's a different to have 35, 12 and 8. And I'm like, how many of those does he have in him, and how many are they going to need? I think they're going to need more than he has. You know what I mean?
They might at some point need that. Although I will say, it is.
You saw it in Game 6.
This is the time when an Austin Reeves and a D'Angelo Russell need to step up. And we're gonna do a quick calling them out segment.
Calling them out.
Because recently, Colin Cowherd had said that LeBron James, and this came up on my feed, LeBron James is basically right now, the way he's been playing in the playoffs, is like a better version of Jaylen Brown for the Celtics. Do you think that's a fair thing to say?
No, of course not. What a moronic statement. He's a better version of Jaylen Brown. If you take Jaylen Brown out of the Celtics, they've got multiple guards that not maybe can do what he does, but can fill roles. They've got Brogdon.
Right. That's the Celtics system.
They've got guys sitting on the bench who would start for the Lakers, quite bluntly. Take LeBron off this team? Come on. I know they played decently when he wasn't around, but like that's an absurd statement. The amount of value LeBron provides to the Lakers as a facilitator, as a do-it-all guy, versus the value that Brown provides to the Celtics, it's not even close. What a moronic statement.
Yeah, that's like, I feel like he just completely ignored the context of what LeBron's been doing.
Of course.
Numbers-wise, sure, maybe numbers-wise, but like
surely statistically, there's probably an argument and a logic and rationale there. And by the way, just to add some more context, mentioned it earlier, he's doing all this at 38, 39. Like,
no,
what do you want from the guy at a certain point?
It is incredible. Love the guy or hate the guy, it's incredible. But no, I feel like really the main, like, honestly, vibes play a role.
Absolutely. And again, statistically, maybe you can make the argument, but come on, it's not even close. And to Frank's point, I actually fully agree. The officiating, flopping included, but officiating as an overarching umbrella has just been horrendous these playoffs.
Oh, terrible.
It's so inconsistent on both sides of the ball. That's not me as a Lakers fan, as a Nuggets fan, as a Suns fan. No, fandom out of it. It's just been inconsistent. You literally see two exact same calls on different sides of the courts go different ways. The officiating has been terrible. And Frank's right. The players haven't made it easy with the flopping, and they absolutely, I agree, should go back to fighting and all that. However, I put much, 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 much more of an onus on the referees to be good at their jobs than I put the onus on the players to not try to have gamesmanship. No. Responsibility is it's almost like parent versus kid when it's like, this is the parent. Like, you're supposed to be the one controlling things. Right. 80-20.
Like, I'm not going to blame the 6-year-old for throwing a temper tantrum when the mom lets him use the Xbox all day. Or
give him an Xbox.
Oh, man, that was such a boomer sentence. Right. But you know what I'm saying. But
no, totally.
I love how he's just like the Xbox. I don't know. It feels weird. But
one of the Xboxes is
Oh, one of those play game stations.
Does it connect to the Wi-Fi's router?
Oh yeah. I heard my son got a new game station the other day. But
it really is. Like, I'm going to criticize the referees for making bad calls way more than I'm going to criticize players for tricking referees. Like, absolutely I am.
Yeah, basketball's very fast paced. Referees are going to screw up, but I agree way too much. Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing. And look, I'm not gonna harp on officials all day. Honestly, the one thing I want is like just overall call less. Just call fewer.
Let him play.
Let the guy
play. Fan who as they led the league in free throws and probably don't beat Golden State without all their free throws. That is me saying, let him play some friggin' ball.
Yeah, no, honestly, play some ball. And I will say, I thought some of the flopping would fade out of the playoffs once the Sixers lost because, Embiid and Harden, Harden are like the absolute.
You remove just remove a big chunk percentage of the flopping with those two alone.
No, honestly, yeah, I feel like a big chunk has left the playoffs at this point because of that. But hey, even Jimmy Butler, who I love, flops every now and then.
Right. And we're saying when there are these flop fouls that refs in a lot of ways don't really have a choice but to give the call on. And then we see these ticky-tack fouls that all of us kind of roll our eyes at. Go, yeah, because they hadn't called the other one that was ticky-tack.
It makes the game go so slow.
It's
like I just want to watch. I just want to watch some ball. Let guys play. That's my big thing. Just let them play. Just freaking let them play. Also, there's fewer timeouts in the fourth quarter, but that's a whole other conversation. And also, I might not even agree with what I just said. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, no, you're not typing what? LeBron, Schroeder, Reeves, Russell. Schroeder is the most pathetic when it comes to flopping. How do you feel about that?
He's a rough flopper. There has never been so Schroeder in his career, if you ask him, has never committed a foul in his entire life, but he's been committed a foul on every possession. It's very similar to, again, sort of throwing it back. It reminds me of watching Derek Fisher. My father would always joke, Derek Fisher never committed a foul his entire career. Schroeder with the flopping is rough. He also just hasn't been playing great basketball. Steve Kerr said something effective like, "Oh, they coach flopping over there." I don't think that. I don't think they.
Well, also Steve Kerr.
I don't think they run drills. This is how you're gonna flop.
Steve Kerr. Also calm the fuck down, Steve Kerr. Have you seen your own team? Have you?
I know, right? Also, you have Draymond Green, Steph Curry.
Jesus
I don't know.
Desmond Bane literally brush taps Steph Curry like that. And Curry goes flying into the front row.
Right.
Oh, it's a foul. It's a foul. And Curry starts running up to the crowd yeah, let's go. You're gonna get onto another team for coaching flopping when your guys are literally celebrating that shit. Give me a fucking break, Steve Kerr. Fuck Steve Kerr. I love Steve Kerr, but fuck Steve Kerr for that. But yeah, that was just that was my quick Steve Kerr rant.
That's fair. Steve Kerr is just woke Phil Jackson. That's all. That's really all it is.
No, I guess that's one. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Or yeah, no, I always thought Popovich was more of the woke Phil Jackson. But
was Pop actually a good coach? You could make the argument both Phil and Kerr just got lucky with generational all-time talent in teams.
Yeah,
I've always said Phil Jackson's overrated. That's a point for another day. I've always said Phil's overrated.
Right? Yeah, that is a point. That is a whole conversation. And also, I can't make an informed opinion because I didn't grow up watching the Bulls.
Whole other thing. I digress.
Right. Although, speaking of Popovich. How about those Spurs? We're gonna have to deal with the Spurs again.
That's another Spurs dynasty.
I know, right? Yeah. How are we feeling about Wembanyama to the Spurs?
Unhappy, sad, pissy. I don't. Why?
Honestly, I miss the Spurs, man. I'm excited, but that's fair. I get it.
Because what sucks is Pop's not going to be there that much longer, so he's not even going to get to enjoy him for that long. I feel like, and even when he does, it's going to be oh, he's going to be such a.
Yeah,
he's gonna be. He is that good. And it's similar. It's funny because I was talking to a friend about this, and he's a Clippers fan. Believe it or not, they do exist out there. From the OG, Corey Maggette, Chris Kaman, Clippers fan OG days. He's like,
Frank, we're not talking about Phil Jackson anymore. That would take way too long.
That'll be another time.
Another show. We could have a whole Phil Jackson episode if you want.
We really could.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
he was saying something effective. Well, this is the same thing we said when Zion went to New Orleans. We figured, they're gonna run the conference with the best player, and I'm like, this is next level because there were questions about Zion coming out about have rang true about his weight, about his team number. There just isn't a question about Wembanyama. There's not.
Yeah, I feel like he's more slender, but in a good way.
And it's funny. There's really no comp for him. The closest one, I guess, is Kevin Durant.
That's a good comp.
That's the closest I've come to. If KD and Giannis kind of had a baby, he's such a ridiculous prospect. It makes me happy. Here's what I will say. I'm glad he's going to an organization that, for lack of a better putting it, I know won't fail him. Houston,
That's
you
true.
saw he was viscerally, like, abjectly happy to not be going to Houston. Yeah, because they're a poverty franchise who has no idea what they're doing and haven't for the better part of a decade. Objectively.
I agree with that. Also, because I mean, I think James Harden is going to be going back there anyway.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Oh, God.
No, I hate Houston. I like San Antonio. I mean, I like the city Houston. I hate the team. I like San Antonio. Yeah, I'm happy with. I am glad he's going to a. I know the Spurs have struggled the past few years, but he's going to a good team.
Right. I was hoping it would be Charlotte. Just thought that'd be cool for him and LaMelo to play together.
Right.
Like,
I wanted to go to Charlotte.
You knew the league was never going to allow that.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the thing. I mean, if the league was going to allow that, then they would have let Anthony Davis go to Charlotte back in 2012.
Although I did see, I don't know if you saw, Portland missed the ping pong by one ball and one number. It was like 12, 14, 17, whatever. And like their last number was 7 and the number was 8. So Portland missed him by 1.
Dame's probably still crying about that. Also, I'm pretty sure Washington was really close to getting him too.
Which, thank God he didn't go to Washington. My Lord.
That would have sucked for
just
him.
Watch him just be just you wouldn't see him for 5 years. And then he'd eventually end up like in LA or New York. Like
all I know is like I feel like they couldn't let the Bulls get him either because I mean with the Blackhawks getting Bedard, if the Bulls were to get number 1 pick 2, yeah, I mean honestly, the Blackhawks getting Bedard is a little bit like the Spurs getting
No, it really is. And
straight up.
And it's funny because I'm an LA Kings fan, so I'm like, I'm glad he didn't go to Anaheim because that would have been my worst nightmare.
Well, I mean,
Bedard as a Duck. Oh my God.
Well, I mean,
worst nightmare.
Because we all know Anaheim does such a great job with stars.
Great way of putting it.
Right.
But like, I have a special place in my hate heart for the Blackhawks and for the Canucks because in those classic like 2010s Kings teams, those were the two teams that consistently got in the way in the playoffs. It was always the Blackhawks and it was always the Canucks. So I'm just mad now that Bedard is going there because I'm like, no, they made my life hard as a kid. Like, you know what I mean? But like in reality, like it's one of the most important franchises to the NHL. It's one of the original. Like, it's a very important franchise. I don't deny that. I don't deny the significance and the prestige and the history of the Blackhawks at all. And they're one of the few teams that I appreciate. Like, they do things like right as far as like their heritage and all that. Like, I really, really appreciate the Blackhawks from that perspective. So, like, yeah, I'm glad Bedard's going to look good in the Hawks jersey. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, man,
no, of course, no, I'd be upset too.
Because in 3 years he's going to knock out the playoffs single handedly. It's going to happen.
No, I mean, I don't know about that. Frank is like the hockey guy, and he's saying like, because you know hockey better than I do, but like, I'm not. Like, I don't know.
Right, that's not saying much.
That's not saying much, right? I love the NHL video game. It's really fun. You get to smash into people. Oh, I'm gonna have to get it now that we have Bedard. But no, it's like I feel like you can't just take one player and have that one player lead you in hockey. It's not like
not like
it's more like it's closer to baseball than it is basketball.
Well, look at like a lot of the teams that have had like, the best players in hockey, so to speak. Like Edmonton really hasn't gone far in the playoffs. Jack Eichel never really let his guys anywhere. You look at Lafreniere and the Rangers hasn't really let him anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, I would argue that a single player has less of an impact on the team overall in hockey than maybe another sport, than maybe baseball. But even baseball can kind of like one guy can do it. But
not
but like it can sort of a draft pick in hockey can change a cult. It's almost
it's
like
a jump start. As Frank said, it's a huge jump start.
Particularly at that position. It's almost like a new quarterback in a way, where it's like we can change how we're doing things. We can now from the top down restructure our lines. Who's going to play with Bedard? Because you need that speed next to him, but you also need some bodies to protect him. So if I'm a Blackhawks fan, I'm very excited. And just, calling it what it is, considering a lot of the storm clouds that have hung over the Blackhawks the last few years in regard to like, the bullying thing and just they haven't been very good. And a lot of like the Cup heroes have sort of, had an exodus. It's definitely something that the franchise and the fans needed for sure. Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
But, I was just saying, yeah, I agree. Like Stan Bowman's an asshole, but I'm always going to support my team. And
right, of course.
And it's cool to see my team get a really cool player. And, the Kings are on the up and up. Blackhawks are on the up and up. We're gonna have some really, really nice.
We're gonna get in each other's way once again. It's a nice way to put it.
It's gonna be some collision courses that we're gonna have to go through, and that's cool with me. That's the way it should be. That's what you should want. You need to build around that player. Edmonton has failed around McDavid. Maple Leafs failed Matthews. Yeah, that thing is, I am confident.
I don't know. Edmonton has multiple 100-point guys. They've got Draisaitl. They got not Ekman Larson. There's the dude with two names. Name I forget now. They've done. Matthews. I'll agree. Matthews got no help throughout his entire career. I agree with that point.
Yeah,
but Edmonton's had some help.
Edmonton, I guess, had some help, but still not enough to go to the next level. Not enough to go to the next. I think it's just because Canada's too nice. They're just too nice over there. They're too nice up north. Sorry about it. But no, I'm very excited because Blackhawks should be really good in the future. Spurs will be good again. Bulls will remain in NBA purgatory. Darn.
We have lost Elijah. He will be back in a moment.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now I got you.
Okay, you can hear me. I'm gonna go without a mic for a minute. Let's talk about the Bears. Yeah. How about I'm just saying, because the Bulls are gonna be in NBA purgatory, Blackhawks are on the upswing. Chicago baseball is just a sad, sad shit show. How about those Bears though? How are you feeling about the Bears draft?
I really liked their draft. Obviously as an Eagles fan, I was very grateful that y'all made the move to come back so we can go ahead and grab Jalen Carter. A move that really, I think, benefited all parties in the short and long term. I think there's a lot. I think very rarely do you see win-win trades in the NFL. It was truly a win-win trade. Yes. I love Darnell Wright. I like a lot of their other picks too. I love them getting Johnson out of Texas. I texted you, and I think I might have commented it on one of your shows.
You were like, damn, you got my running back or something.
I remember, and it's similar to me to when Alvin Kamara got out. Not that they're somewhat similar as players. Not really. Kamara's much more of a pass catcher. But that vibe of guy who doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires coming out of college, who had he played somewhere else would have gotten a lot of snaps and would have gotten a lot more attention.
Yeah, it just so happened that Bijan Robinson was before him.
Right. So, or what I was going to say is Tajay Spears, the running back from Tulane, went around earlier to Tennessee. But he has been a 4-year starter. He's got a potential knee issue, things again. Whereas Roschon, he only had, I think, 125 carries. He didn't have a ton. He's going to have a lot in his legs, which with the Bears backfield being the way it's currently set up, they're going to need a lot of touches out of him.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, right now, the Bears, I like our backfield. Solid 3-headed monster back there. I like Khalil Herbert. Always like Khalil Herbert.
You've always you've been on, to your credit, you have been on Herbert since day one.
Yes,
I've always been fans credit. He's been on Herbert since day absolute one.
Yeah, and he's been really good. He's a bear. He's a good bear. And
he's
then we got what's his name? Why am I blanking on the Panthers running back we took? D'Onta Foreman. I was gonna call him Johnson.
Also from Texas.
D'Onta Foreman. What did you say?
Also from Texas.
Yeah. Also really good back. Really solid player. He's not gonna wow anybody, but he runs hard. He runs downhill. He's
right. There'll probably be a bit of a regression from last year, but he'll still be a good ball player for y'all. And
I think
what he does.
I think it's okay if there's regression there, because I do think Roschon is going to be the feature back.
I agree.
I really think
he should be.
I agree. You want to get as much from your rookie running back as you possibly can, right?
I think they were smart to not. I know a lot of Bears fans were clamoring for a star running back, like a Saquon Barkley trade or a Kamara trade, or even a Derrick Henry trade. I know some fans were like, if we can get it back and blah, but I think this was really the smarter move. It just that never made a lot of sense to me. I'm sure you heard that talk as well. It just never made a ton of sense to me. Outside of just to get him.
No, I'm completely with you there. I feel like that's just not where the franchise needs to go, and it's teams can win championships without elite backs. That's been proven in recent years. Solid role-playing running back is Herbert, nothing more. Yeah, but that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a guy that you can line up the majority of the time. He can get 8 to 10 carries a game, give you a catch or two, and pass block for you. That's valuable.
He doesn't pass block really well. That's the one thing I will say. But what he can do,
valuable in this league.
Yeah, no, but what he can do is he gives you short yardage, and that's great. You know, like he's tough, he's physical, he's like he'll go downhill, and that's what matters. Like I like that you can give him the ball at the 1 yard line and feel pretty confident that he'll find his.
He's also been around. If I'm wrong on my timelines, correct me. He's been around through a lot of regime changes on multiple the coaching staff and the managerial level. So it's like, oh, he's like mentally tough. That's tough as a player to go through.
I'm sure
it can be tough. You know, I remember from my JV to varsity. This is obviously a much smaller microcosm, but like switching coaches and like we switched our schemes. We went from like a power eye to a spread, and like just the high school level that was tough. I can't imagine implementing like new offenses almost on like not to be offensive to Bears fans, but like on like a yearly basis with how much turnover there's been with the Bears coaching staffs and GMs and all that. Like it's got to be tough, and he's stuck around and keeps making the roster. Like there's something to be said for that.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's like that's part of why I really like the diversity we got going on in the sorry, I'm reading Frank's comment. Yeah, no, I think the guy we drafted will be the starter by week 1, Frank. Like I honestly think that we drafted him to be the starter. He'll come right in like Montgomery and immediately be effective.
Right, because when Montgomery got drafted, there was someone there, wasn't there?
Well, we had Tariq Cohen, who was always on the
right.
DLIL IR, whatever. And then Jordan Howard, we traded to y'all.
Jordan Howard, that's what I was thinking of. Right,
good player. I love Jordan Howard when he was
had a couple good news for us.
Yeah, no, he's really solid back. Great Madden back too, by the way. Third down. Yeah. Really good, or they're 30 short, really, I should say. But like goal line, power back situations, love me some Jordan Howard. But yeah, I like the diversity in the running back room. Like the receivers that we have. The one thing I'm really upset, or not really upset about, but the one thing that I think the Bears really didn't improve that much this offseason is the pass rush, although they still made some improvements. DeMarcus Walker should be a solid pass rusher, not great, nothing special, but still pretty solid. This is why that and the fact that the Bears have a weak schedule, we're avoiding your NFC East, which is the best. And we're pretty much playing the NFC South, which I think might be the worst division in the league.
It is the worst. It's
and there's no question, right? Like,
no, it's not
playing the NFC South.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're playing the NFC South. The one NFC West team we're playing is Arizona. And we're playing out of the AFC North, we're playing the Browns. And wait, who are and then we're playing the AFC West, which is not going to be easy, right? The AFC West is never going to be easy, although Denver, like we don't know how they're going to be. I think they'll improve. The Raiders, right. I don't believe in Garoppolo with the Raiders as much as I did when he was with the Niners. And by the way, he backed that up.
Also had multiple major injuries now, like at a certain point.
Right. We'll lose to the Chiefs week 2. Chargers is a crapshoot because it's the Chargers. There's a reason why I picked the Bears to be, I'm optimistic, but over 500 this year. Do you think that's a pipe dream?
No, not a pipe dream at all. I think that there may, how do I phrase this delicately? There may have been some overzealous Bears fans who maybe icing the schedule predictions. They're a bit
very lofty.
There's a word for it. But I don't see any reason this Bears team playing in the NFC North, and as you pointed out, playing against some not horribly, terribly tough division, I don't see any reason they can't win 8 or 9 games, maybe go. Yeah, I don't see any reason they couldn't be a 500 team. I like them a lot. I like a lot of the pieces. And I said this to you a couple of times, maybe from like my outside perspective, I like some of the pieces more than on the inside. So like, I'm a really big fan. So for example, I'm a really big fan of Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson. Like they're just like, I watch them play. Right. I don't watch them all the time, but like I watch them play and I go, oh, these are good ball players. And every Bears fan can't wait to tell me how much they suck. But I like a lot of their pieces.
I don't know why we hate Eddie Jackson here, but yeah, that's fair. Continue.
But I love the linebacking core. And I think you made a good point in that there aren't a ton of pass rushers on this team, particularly good pass rushers. But, Edwards comes in at, 6'3", 245. Edmonds plays at like 260. Like, I would be very surprised if they aren't involved. And also, it's Chicago. Yeah, your inside linebackers get involved in the pass rush game because it's Chicago. So I think you're going to see some more sack production or pressure production than maybe you're expecting. But yeah, I don't anticipate any one guy, like a double-digit sack guy. I don't see that happening now.
Right, and that's okay as long as,
right,
you're still getting to the quarterback. As long as you're getting there, because, like, man, these guys had hours and hours to throw in the pocket. I'm telling you, back in.
And on that point, I would argue one of the most we're talking about underrated versus overrated stats. You and I both love getting into stats. We talk about that a lot. I think one of the more overrated stats can be sacks, and one of the more underrated ones can be quarterback pressures.
Oh, completely agree.
I think it's a lot more important how often you're causing a quarterback to be uncomfortable than how often you're actually sacking him and getting him on the ground.
Because and look, sacks are great. As a defensive, stan, we live for sacks, right? We want to bury the quarterback in the backfield, but at the same time, you get pressure on the quarterback and he forces up a bad throw. You might not get a sack, but you force an interception,
right? Particularly from where it's
coming to a secondary that is certainly capable of getting their picks.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what matters. Also, I will say, like, we played your Eagles last year. Didn't play well, but held our own against
the majority of the game. Held their own, yeah.
And it's like
not to be away from them at the end, but did a lot of the Eagles opponents.
That was what was going to happen,
right?
And I mean, given how shitty the team was now, it's like I think I do think the Bears will be much more of a threat this season. My one concern is it all comes down to one player, and that is obviously Justin Fields.
Right?
Will he take that next step? That's what matters. Jalen Hurts took that next step. Josh Allen took that next step. This is the season of Fields. Can he get his game to that next level? And I think there's no excuses now because everything's in place. Everything's in place for him. You got his new right tackle. You got Nate Davis in free agency, really good offensive lineman. You should have a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
So no excuses at this point for QB1.
Yeah, and I feel like understandably so, Bears fans as a whole, this is my opinion, Bears fans as a whole have been incredibly, incredibly quick to defend Justin and not particularly quick to criticize him. I feel like on a fan basis, which is understandable because I feel like Justin's getting a lot of unfair criticism. That being said, as you said, the excuses are now gone. Either Justin plays, I don't want to think at a top 10 quarterback level, that's hyperbolic, but either he takes a big step or he is not the guy and you tank and try to get Drake May or Kyoto.
Well, we might not need to take because we have Carolina's pick.
Oh, Carolina's pick. True.
So look, right. There could be a situation where Fields plays badly and Carolina sucks.
Yeah.
And we get Caleb Williams next year. So
right. And it would be real hard unless Justin plays some really good football to continue to invest in Justin and not go with a young quarterback next year. That'd be a real hard ask. And then on the flip side, maybe Justin plays great, and next year you can take, Marvin Harrison Jr., for example, and suddenly you guys have your quarterback and star receiver for the next decade. And we've
been talking a lot about Marvin Harrison Jr.
It truly wouldn't shock me to see either of those scenarios playing out. Like, I see both those scenarios as equally possible.
And the thing about it is, like, we're not in a situation where we're going to be we're not going to pay both Claypool and Mooney. So, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. would not be a bad draft pick. And I like both Claypool.
I'm curious, do you then move one of them now for the highest return on capital?
I would absolutely.
Or do you play with all of them for the season because it benefits Justin?
I would trade either of them for Chase Young.
That's a fair point.
And I love Mooney.
That is an interesting rumor. Yeah, that's an interesting rumor.
The reason why I talk about that rumor is because Justin's been clamoring for him.
Right, and you figure both Ohio State guys. I don't know if they overlap together. I think Chase was gone at that point, but obviously, both Ohio State guys. Did they overlap? I think
they had to. I think you're right. Chase was 2020 and Fields was 2021, so they had to overlap.
You're right. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that's a premier pass rusher if he's healthy. I know he's had his trouble with health before, but when you have all these picks, when you stockpile all these picks, you got to take a big swing at some point. That's my argument pro Chase Young. Although I understand, a lot of Bears fans and a lot of, the Bears might be a little adverse to taking that risk right now. I get that. Wait, please repeat what, Frank? Repeat what? But I don't know what.
I don't know. But to your point about being risk averse, like, calling what it is, the Bears have Darnell Wright was the right choice. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it was in a way, a sort of risk averse way where a lot of teams would have said Jalen Carter's maybe the best player in the draft. They made the safer choice. You know what I mean?
They did. I still think,
but understandably and logically and rationally so.
I still think, and Louis Riddick was the one who really kind of convinced me of this. Or wait, Lance Riddick. I always confuse him. I think Louis. One of them's dead. Yeah, I know that's a terrible thing to say.
You were talking about Lewis, I think.
Thank you. I'm talking about Lewis. Okay. Trade who? Oh, I was talking about I'd trade Mooney or Claypool, one of the two.
Right. And like it wouldn't surprise me to see
and
them
I love
do,
Mooney
like,
and I like Claypool. But
and you'd have to attach something. Obviously, you're not going to get Mooney for him straight up, but like Mooney and a day 2 and day 3. Yeah, I think I'd actually hate that because I'd hate Darnell Mooney in my division. But like, yeah, I could absolutely see something along those lines.
Yeah, no, I would love, but I mean, at least you wouldn't have to deal with Chase Young chasing
There's
after
also there's also a lot of good pass rushers still on the market that I feel like the Bears are going to snag a veteran pass rusher, sort of like bounty hunter. Like I just sort of see that coming.
You better not say Jadeveon Clowney or Frank will shit himself.
No, I think
we're not getting that straight up, Frank.
I think Clowney's very overrated, but like Melvin Ingram's still out there, just in Houston. Like I think there are veterans out there, or even I know it might be a little bit crazy, and he's like guys like this probably want to go ring chase. But if week 1 comes and you want to call, Donkey Kong Sue and say, hey, you want to come rush the passer on the interior for Chicago for a little bit?
I'd love Sue on the Bears. He'd give us a great edge. You would have to say Mooney in a second rounder. You're doing that? I'm not doing that. I do a third rounder on its own, second rounder maybe on its own, but not Mooney in a second.
I would do Mooney in a 3, but I'd have to get back. I would do Mooney in a 3, I think. I would do Mooney in a 3.
I'd probably do Mooney in a 4th or a 5th because Washington
has Mooney in a 3 if I'm getting back like a 4 or a 5.
Sure. That's fair. Chargers look like they are cutting Mac.
Okay. Again, you got to have a lot of cap counters coming up too. Yeah, there's going to be like Dalvin Cook could get cut. There's going to be a lot of guys getting cut.
Dude, if Khalil Mack comes, I'll take Khalil. Fuck, I'll take Khalil.
That would be cool. Khalil coming home.
I'll bring him back.
So this is where I think
I think he'd look pretty good in a Bears uniform. I don't know.
So this is where not to be what's the word? Condescending, rude, whatever word you want to use, where I think Bears fans can sometimes dilute themselves a little bit, is these guys, if they have the choice, are probably going to go somewhere that's the combination of money, playing time, and ability to win a ring. And the Bears can only offer
Khalil likes it. Khalil likes Chicago though. Like Khalil's been here.
That's true. But it wouldn't shock me if he said it would take less money to go somewhere like, I don't know, Buffalo to like go chase a ring. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's my point about like, I think sometimes Bears fans that I have talked to, they're going like, we're winning 13 games this year. I'm like, that's awesome. Like
those guys, believe me. That's not really us. Those guys need to pump the brakes. Although I will say, I am pretty confident.
I don't see any reasons 10 wins can't happen. And like every year, there are teams that go worst to first. They had a really good draft, and the division is so different than it has been in so many years. Who's the favorite? Probably Minnesota, maybe
Detroit.
Who knows what Green Bay is? Like, it's so weird.
4th rounder straight up and a Giordano stuffed pizza. I could go for the pizza right now. Damn. Keep your 4th rounder. I'll give you Chase Young for the pizza. That sounds delicious. Now I'm gonna go with what was I gonna say? You really don't know the favorite. That's why my ultimate prediction for the Bears this season is 9-7-1.
Oh, I like that. That's a good.
Yeah, I do think
a tie. I like that. Spicy.
I predict ties nowadays. That's just something I do.
Like a cool kid.
Yeah, look at me. I'm hip. But yeah, no, I think the Bears will be pretty good. Sneaky potential wild card team. Probably not getting past the first round, but honestly,
I don't see any reason they can't have a giant season. I don't see any reason they can't have the same season the Giants did last year.
Well, hopefully, if we have a Giant season, I hope we don't have to deal with like the Eagles the way the Giants had to deal with y'all.
Sure, but I mean, no, the Giants even like have clutch moments, win the big games, win games late. You know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely know what you mean. Problem is, as long as we don't have
wrong, the Bears lost a fair deal of like close-ish games last year.
Oh no, we lost a lot of close games last year. A lot of one-score games.
Whereas Minnesota was sort of the opposite, and it wouldn't shock me again to see it flip back this time.
Yep, exactly. And I think the 2 games we lost that were blowouts, well, 3, late season to the Lions. At that point, we were going for the number 1 pick. Vikings, Nathan Peterman played. That tells you all you need to know.
Right.
And then Jets was not a very close game. And that was without Justin Fields too. So, again, hopefully things are turning around in Chicago for football. I'm all the way. Look, like I'm as given how badly the Cubs have been playing, I'm definitely like fully
Who's
in
the Bears'
football
backup
mode.
this year?
What'd you say?
Who's the Bears' backup this year? Is it still
PJ
Trevor
Walker?
Siemian? Oh, PJ Walker. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. I like PJ.
Solid backup.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Mitch Trubisky, who just signed an extension with the Steelers. Good for him. He's a great scout team quarterback, from what I've read.
And gets that money. Good for him. I will always be happy with players getting money.
He's got a beautiful wife and baby, and so good for him. Family man. I'm proud of my guy Mitch, because we all know I've always loved Mitch Trubisky, and I just want to see him, do well for himself. Also, like when he was with the Bills, they always said like he was really good at mimicking the opposing quarterbacks for the scout team. So that means he's going to be making contributions, even if it's not like, what you see on the field. Like he's going to be helping in a meaningful way, and I think that's really cool. So good for our guy Mitch Trubisky. But yeah. Anyway, man, we've been going for about an hour now. So we should wrap up. But closing topic, real quick. I want your NBA Finals predictions.
Ooh, all right. I'm gonna go
winner. How many games and MVP?
I'm gonna give you Celtics over Nuggets in 6, with Jason Tatum as the MVP. Which is a little bit, I know it's a little bit like predictable, easy, soft, whatever. I think the Celtics are the best team left. I think that they are pretty significantly better than Miami, regardless of game 1. I think Denver is pretty significantly better than LA. And I then think that the Celtics are pretty significantly better than Denver. But I think Jokic is Jokic, and he's going to steal a game absolutely by himself. And the game, the Celtics as a whole will win on their own.
I like it. I could see it happening. It would make my grandpa and my grandma very happy people.
I also have no idea who guards Tatum. I have no idea.
Wait, what's that? Oh, we need a conversation about this overrated Phil Jackson. I'm steaming with that. Yeah, Frank, I'm thinking for the next episode, I'd love to just have you and Noah on and just like PTI style, like let y'all go at it, and I'm the mediator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, give me Kobe and Shaq. I won a couple of titles and whatever.
Give me Kobe and Shaq, hey, give my brother Kobe, give my dog Kobe and Shaq, and she could probably win some titles.
Give a broom Kobe and Shaq. He'll win 50 games. But as always, appreciate being on.
Oh yeah, no, great to have you on. And I guess I'll make my prediction. I still think the Lakers will do it because I'm an idiot who is like, oh, big boy LeBron, big boy Anthony Davis. I like the Lakers to win against the Celtics in 7. And,
I like that. Well, I will most certainly hope that you are right and I am wrong.
That'd be cool. I'd be cool with that. And
Anthony Davis awesome. Would be fun.
Anthony Davis MVP. And LeBron's haters are like, oh, he only won because Anthony Davis. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but like still won, right? Like, anyhow, it's been real, Noah. As always, you can add Noah Gross on Facebook.com. You can follow me on Twitter. My handle is eZelanki. Chicago Clubhouse 11 is the Twitter handle for this network. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to everyone who contributed in the chat.
What the hell is even that?
And you guys are all really beautiful people. But who do you think you are? I am.